Hi, everyone, and welcome to a webinar, Nadex Binary Options, the Basics. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex, and I will be your host taking you through this one today. And I'm hoping we can have a little bit of fun with this today, and I hope we can make it a little bit of an interactive session. I could use some fun this week. It's been a long week, and I'm glad we've got a nice holiday coming with the Labor Day weekend. I am definitely looking forward to that. It's just pure madness out there. I've got my son who was down in the south having to dodge hurricanes, and he's safely evacuated, but it's a mess. I've got family on the northeast. That's a mess. I hope everyone's staying safe out there. If you're in either one of those places, everything on the northeast is flooding. I've got family out in California. Everything's on fire. They could use some water, as could my family down in the southwest, where they've got absolutely no water, and it's hot. I tell you, it's just apocalyptic. Anyhow, we are going to make this a little bit interactive today. I want to make sure, one, that you can all hear me. If you could just type in, you've got a question mark on the right hand side. You could type into a chat. You could type in some questions. If I'm coming through loud and clear, just say, "Hey, we got you. We're all good." And then the other thing I'm going to ask, is not just, can you hear me? Because I want to make sure that everything's all good. I'm going to do some examples. So if there's any products or things that you'd like me to cover in particular, like, hey, I'd like to hear about gold, or I'd like to hear about foreign exchange, or I'd like to hear about the equity markets like the S&P 500, or I want to talk about oil, energy markets, just type in what you want to hear. I do want to make this interactive. I want to have this be a little bit fun today. And I like to make it a little bit practical. And if I've got an audience who wants to participate and get something specific, I'd like to accommodate the requests. So go ahead and just type in that you can hear me. All right, perfect. Thank you. And type in any products, because I absolutely will customize this a little bit to the audience that we've got. All right, before I jump into this, I do need to put up this disclaimer, because this is sponsored by our compliance department. That trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And then please don't construe anything I say as a buy or sell recommendation. I'm doing this for your education purposes. And that'll become infinitely more practical when I start getting into the platform itself, and I show you. So welcome, everyone. Let's get into it. Oh, by the way, a little bit of background on me, just in case you're curious, who's this guy talking? I do like to put this up there briefly to give you a little idea of who I am. I joined Nadex back in 2019, but I have been in the financial services space for a long time. I started my career way back in the day with Anderson Consulting, which is now Accenture. And then I moved to Chicago, and I actually traded on the trading floors where people yell and scream and wave their hands. And I did that for a long time until the trading floors started to go away, at which point I went to work for the exchanges and the brokerage companies. So I spent 5 years working for Eurex. If you're not familiar, it is a large international exchange out of Frankfurt, Germany. They're owned by Deutsche Börse. And then I went to Boston Options Exchange, which rebranded as Box Options, so retail equity options. And then the New York Stock Exchange poached me away. I was at the New York Stock Exchange for a number of years as well, before someone over at E-Trade offered to move me over there. And it was from E-Trade that I moved over to IG Group, who owns Nadex. I do have a BA from UCLA. I did grow up on the West Coast, but I have lived all over the place. I've got my MBA from out there as well. So I do have a bit of a background here, and hopefully I can help you along with your journey as I explain Nadex Binary Options. So what are we going to cover today? One, I am going to spend just a couple minutes talking about who is Nadex, because it's really why you're here. If you've joined this session You're here because of Nadex, and in all likelihood, you might be here for our binary options. I do like to cover who is Nadex because it really does sort of emphasize what people are looking for when they come here. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because then I want to get into binary options. And we're going to, and it seems, it's this fancy buzzword. In all likelihood, you already know what a binary option is, but I want to talk about how they are priced, how they work. What does it mean? Because that ultimately is going to help you on your journey to trying to trade with these and hopefully be successful at it. I will go through the various choices in binary options because Nadex does something very different than what you would find elsewhere. Is we give you the choice, and we do that because we want to put you in control. You can choose how you would like to do this. And then I am going to hopefully get here faster than I normally do. But my mom was from the great state of Missouri, or if I'm going to pronounce it right, Missouri, the show me state. And I find that doing that is really practical. It's tangible. Not only are we going to talk about the concepts, but we're going to look at them in action to help you along, and I think you'll get it. All right, and again, I'm going to give people a chance. If you want to type in any product, gold, silver, oil, foreign exchange, the euro dollar, US dollar, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, anyone that, and as we go, if you've got any questions, this is a very interactive session. If I'm watching as you type these things in, so I might not type a response back because I'm talking, but I'm hoping that I can cover any questions as we go. And there's a high likelihood that if you've got a question, somebody else has a question as well. And so I don't want anyone to be shy. Okay. Let's get into it real quickly on who is Nadex. First of all, Nadex is an acronym. In the financial services space, we love our acronyms. North American Derivatives Exchange, Nadex. It's just Nadex sounds so much better than North American Derivatives Exchange. It's a bit of a mouthful. Now, what is really important about Nadex is that we are a regulated exchange. Notice that I am going to highlight and underline in bold certain words. The reason I really want you to know that we're regulated is we are one of the very few binary options exchanges that can truly be wholly trusted because we are regulated in the United States by the CFTC, another acronym, Commodity Futures Trading Commission, all these buzzwords. There are two main regulatory bodies in the United States. You've probably heard of the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission. Those two commissions, they regulate the exchanges in the United States, one for securities and one for futures. Now, it is important to note that we are regulated. You might be able to access other binary option providers on the internet out in the world that are offshore exchanges. If you put a VPN on and blocked your location, you're not supposed to be able to access them from the United States, but you certainly can. But those offshore exchanges are not regulated in the United States. And if you wanted any type of recourse, if you had a challenge or a problem, and in fact, I know in the binary option space in the world globally, there are some nefarious actors where people have problems getting their funds out of their account, who they're trading against, all of these things that seem to be a little nefarious don't apply to Nadex. We are a proper exchange in the United States. We are wholly regulated. We have to uphold the laws and rules and regulations in the United States. And we are a central marketplace. And anyone can access our markets. Anyone can post a bid. Anyone can post an offer. You're trading with anyone else who is in the markets. You're not trading with us. You're trading with other people who have differing opinions. And we are regulated. Now, what was Nadex built for? And this is why you really came here, is we were ahead of the curve. We designed contracts for the retail trader. You do not need thousands of dollars to trade in Nadex markets. You can do so with tens of dollars or even hundreds of dollars. It's a very low cost of entry, and that is truly democratizing access to the markets, where you don't have to have a ton of money to try to trade the markets and try to make a profit doing so. But the one cool thing about all of Nadex products, not just our binary options, we have other products as well, knockouts and call spreads. And I do an entire session on knockouts and call spreads. So I'm not going to be covering knockouts and call spreads on this. But there is some content on our YouTube page, or I know I'm doing one in a couple of weeks, I believe. And in fact, between now and then, we're going to be doing a boot camp. I should try to dig that up. I'll show you. You're more than welcome to sign up for how to trade commodities at Nadex, and we will cover knockouts and call spreads. But all of our products have defined risk. All of our products have clearly defined risk. So when you get into a trade, you know exactly what you could potentially make and exactly what you could potentially lose before you get into the trade. So there's none of these surprises as you might have in other markets, where you lose everything in your account and everything you have. You can't lose more than what you initially put into a trade, period. End of story. All right. And that is sort of a protection to our traders, for our retail traders, that they can't get completely blown out by some surprise in the markets. Before you get into a trade, you know exactly what your risks are. And people come to Nadex to trade binary options, knockouts, and call spreads. And today, again, I'm going to focus on binary options, and it's about short-term price action. And I know we've got several people have typed in the short-term binary option contracts. I am going to go through those examples. All right, and you'll actually see them at work. All right, by the way, if you're brand new to Nadex, or even if you've been around a little bit, you might not be aware that we have a Refer a Friend program. Our Refer a Friend program, if you have a live account, you have to have a live account. You would have your own link, a personal link just to you, where you could share it with your friends. And if you share that with your friends and they sign up using your link, and they place 5 trades within 30 days of applying for their Nadex account, they'll get $100. You'll get $100. Everyone gets $100. You could do that with up to 10 of your friends. It's something that we actually find at Nadex. A lot of people like to trade these markets with their friends and build a little bit of a community, and we want to encourage that. We want to encourage that because it might help people out when you're trading with a friend. It's sort of like swimming. And so you can do that with up to 10 of your friends. So you can end up having $1,000 in your account to trade with, and all 10 of your friends would have $100, and then maybe they can invite some of their friends as well. So it's a really cool program. I just wanted to mention it. So let's jump into what is a binary option. And first, we're going to define a binary option. All right? I just want to start with a simple explanation. When we go through the examples, I think it'll become abundantly clear. But a binary option is a short-term defined risk reward contract. And I say contract, it's because that's our unit of a measure. But it's a prediction. Let's just talk about it. It's a prediction. It's a statement. A binary option is as simple as that. It is a prediction. And it's got 3 components. It's got a market, it's got a condition, which is sometimes called the strike price, a buzzword, or the level, and an expiration time. And at Nadex, this is what we do, is we offer choices. You get to pick the market, you get to pick the condition, you get to pick the time. And you can choose all 3 of those. So when I pick a market and I'm looking, somebody typed in gold, and that makes it easy for me. I'll just do gold, and it was moving around a little bit today. But this would be true for any of the other markets. You got a market, gold. The condition, will gold be above $1,800 an ounce? And then an expiration time, in the next hour, in the next 2 hours, at the end of the day, at the end of the week. You're going to have all these choices. So it is just a simple prediction. Will gold be higher than a price at this point in time? Will the S&P 500 be higher than a certain price at a certain time? Will the euro dollar US dollar or the euro USD be higher than 1.18 in the next 5 minutes. That's it. All right. It's a pretty simple statement. But what's interesting at Nadex, which is very, very different than other binary option providers, you can both buy or sell these. So you can do either. All right, you can buy them or you can sell them, and in either case, your risk and reward are both known before you enter a trade. Okay, and you're probably going buy or sell. We're going to talk about that in a second. But you can buy or sell. So you've got a statement. Will the pound US dollar be higher than this price at this time? You can buy it, you can sell it. It's a simple prediction. It's a yes or no question, and it will trade. The price of a binary option will trade between 0 and 100. Now, that number confuses some people at first. So let's talk about buying and selling and that number. All right. So first off, notice that these are true or false statements. They are either going to happen or they don't. Will gold be above $1,800 an ounce in an hour? It either is above 1,800 or it's not above 1,800. It's a yes or it's a no. The event either happens or it doesn't happen. That is why it's binary. In the end, it's only one of two. Now, I'm emphasizing in the end because it trades in between now and then, and we're going to talk about that. But in the end, if it's true, it will settle at 100, and we're going to talk about that too. And if it's false, it will settle at 0. That's the basics. There's the basics. You've got a question. Will gold be higher than $1,800 an ounce at 2 p.m.? Yes or no? If it's higher, it goes to 100. If it's lower, if it's at 1,800 or lower, it goes to 0. Now, what is that price? That number that you see, 0 and 100, is really the probability at that moment in time that the event will be true. So let's think about that. And that's really what you're trading is the probability. People are predicting whether an event is going to be true or not. And the market that you see is the probability as determined by the marketplace at that moment in time that the event will happen. So when you think about that, if gold were trading right at, and let's just go with 1810, okay? Let's just say gold were trading right at $18 and $18.10. I'm sorry, $1,810. And the binary option, the prediction is, will gold be higher than 1810 in an hour? And it's currently right at 1810. I don't know if it's going to settle higher than 1810 or lower than 1810. The probability that it would settle higher or lower is pretty much equal. It's going to be 50% chance it could go up or 50% chance it could go down. The price of the binary option you would expect to be right around 50. It's a 50% chance that it will go to 100 and a 50% chance that it will go to 0. That it'll either be true and go to 100 or false and go to 0. So if you think about that, if it's right at if the price is 1810, if the binary option is, will it be greater than 1810, and gold is trading at 1820, it's already above the 1810. Will it be higher than 1810? It's already higher than 1810. The probability that it will finish above 1810, that it'll stay above 1810, would in all likelihood be greater than 50%. It might be 60%. It might say, yeah, right now it's already above it. So it's a 60% chance it's going to stay above it, which means there's a 40% chance that it would drop and finish below. Right? And hopefully that makes sense. All right, and we're going to go through, and you don't have to, I mean, this is what you do is you'll make your predictions, but there'll be a marketplace and you'll actually see the marketplace. And so what you're really looking at is the probability of the event being true. Now, baked into that probability will be if there's a lot of volatility or timed expiration, and we're going to talk about that because those are some buzzwords. That price, volatility and timed expiration will be factored into the price of that binary option, into the price of that probability. What's the likelihood of this event happening? And we will go through that in detail. All right. Now, the risk reward of binary options, and we make that number, that 0 to 100, we make it even easier. All right. So first, it's just the probability. All right. Hey, I can predict, is it going to be above or below? And if it's true and it goes to 100, great. If it's false and it goes to 0, great. Now, I mentioned that you can buy or sell these, but first, we made each contract worth $100. Now, that made it easy too for the math. Not only does that number 40, 50 represent the probability of the event being true, it also turns into the dollar amount of the contract. All right. So if you're trading a binary option for 50 and you buy it, you're going to be paying $50. Now, I mentioned that you can buy or sell. Okay, and this is really important because this is something that you can't necessarily do on other binary options exchanges. If you think the event is going to be true and it's going to go to 100, you would buy it. But if you think the event is going to be false, so you can predict the event is going to be false, you can take a contrarian view, you can sell it. Now, if you buy it, your goal is for it to go to 100. And if you sell it, your goal is for it to go to 0. Now, people say, how can I sell something I don't own? You're simply taking a short position on the price. You're not actually selling gold. You're just speculating on the price of gold. And that actually goes back to the very first slide, as we call these contracts. These are contracts. They trade on an exchange. They're and you can buy or sell them, and you never have to know. It doesn't matter who you're trading with because the contracts are all standardized. You could buy it from one person, sell it to another person. It simply doesn't matter to you who you're trading with. It's to you, all that matters is the price. And then obviously what happens? What's the outcome? Now, when you trade a binary option, you put up the most that you could lose on the trade, and that is your initial capital. So this is why we say you know exactly what you're getting into when you place a trade. If you buy a binary option for 25, there's a 25% chance that it will go to 100. If you bought it at 25, you're hoping that it will go to 100, in which case you risked 25 and it goes to 100, you made 75, you've tripled your money. If you buy it at 25, you spend $25, there's a 25% chance it goes to 100, but which means there's a 75% chance it'll likely go to 0. If you buy it at 25, you can't lose any more than that 25. And if it turns into a false prediction, it goes to 0, you lose your $25. Now, you can take a contrarian view. If you sell one at 25, all right, I do not think it's going to go up and finish higher than 1810 gold. I think it's going to be false in the end. I could sell it at 25. Now, what's my risk? My risk is it goes to 100. Oh my gosh, it turned out to be true. There's only a 25% chance at that moment in time that it'll be true, but there's still a 25% chance. If it goes to 100, you sold it at 25, it could go to 100. You would have to put up the most you can lose, the $75. You would risk $75 to potentially make the 25. And if it go, and the likelihood of your success is higher, at least at that moment in time. The likelihood, 1 in 4, it's going to go to 0 and you'll collect the $25. But I mean, 3 times out of 4, it'll go to 0 and you'll collect the $25. But 1 time in 4, you could lose. So you can buy or sell. You can predict it's going to be true or false. If you think it's true, you buy. If you think it's false, you sell. And it will, in the end, it will either go to 0 or 100. All right, now, you do not need to be able to do this math. We do all this simple math for you. The markets can be dynamic. The prices can be moving around. We do all of this for you on the order ticket. So if you look at an order ticket, okay, and this is a binary option order ticket, in the upper left-hand corner. Now, this is for the S&P 500. All right, this is for the S&P 500. It's giving you the price of the S&P 500, the indicative price right now, 43.50. All right, 43.50. And it tells you this is going to expire in an hour and 23 minutes. So the question is, and there's the statement at the top. There's your binary option. Will the S&P 500 finish higher than 43.54 and a half, 43.54.5 at 1 p.m. Now we know that it's currently trading at 43.50.6. It is currently below that price, and we still have an hour and 23 minutes. But there's going to be a market, all right? And that market that you see, the midpoint of that market is the probability that the market is that's going to be true. Now, if you look at the bottom of the order ticket, you see a probability of 33.75. That is actually the midpoint. The market is saying there's a 33.75% chance that it will indeed go higher and finish higher in the next hour and in an hour and 23 minutes. In an hour and 23 minutes, where is it? Now, this is an example of a buy. If I wanted to try to buy this, do I have to buy it at 36.75? If I wanted to buy one right now, I could, but I could try to bid between the bid-ask spread, something that they won't let you do on other binary options exchanges. I can say I'm willing to pay 35.5. I don't want to pay 36.75. I want to pay 35.5. And if I put my bid in, that would be displayed in the order book. This is something that makes Nadex very distinctive. Now, am I going to trade at that price? I don't know. Somebody else has to want to trade with me and sell it to me. If I do that, I'm going to go through an example of this, but do you have to trade on the bid or on the offer? You can, but you don't have to necessarily. You can put bids and offers between the bid-ask spread or away. And if somebody else wants to trade with you at those prices, you might get a trade. Now, notice that your maximum loss or profit is calculated for you right up front. If I were to try to buy one of these for $35.50, there's a, I'm paying $35.50. That's my maximum loss. I cannot lose any more than $35.50. Now, what am I hoping for? I'm hoping that it goes to 100 and I would make $64.50. Now, if indeed I bought one for $35.50 and it went to 100, my return on my investment in the hour and 23 minutes, I'd be making 166% return on my money. Risking 35 to make 64, that's 166% return. And right now, my probability of success, is 33.75%. All right, and this is for a buy. If you were selling, the ROI and the probability would be different. Your max profit and last loss would be different. In fact, they'd be inverted. I will show you examples of both buying and selling when we get over to the platform. But I just wanted you to know, we've talked about all these concepts, but what's fascinating is as soon as you look at an order ticket, you go, oh, I get it. There's the price, there's my prediction, and I can trade whatever price I want to try to trade at, or if I want to execute a trade, I can see what the order book has, and everything is calculated for you. Your maximum potential profit, your maximum potential loss, your maximum return on investment if you are indeed successful, and your probability of success at that moment in time. The probability that it will finish in the money. That ITM stands for in the money. And that's your probability of success as determined by the marketplace. At that moment in time, that will change. So let's talk about the price of a binary option. And I told you volatility, if things are moving all over the place, that will affect the price of the binary options. And as time moves on, the price of the binary option will change. And this is what I want you to understand, what this looks like, and then we're going to go through some examples. Okay, so timed expiration and volatility, whether nothing is happening or whether a lot of things are happening, will impact the price of the binary option. So here's an example of the euro US dollar. All right, we've got an example, and the binary option is, will it be greater than 1 spot 14 at 3 p.m.? Now we've got a chart here. I'm giving you the chart. This time frame could be, let's just say this was for the day, but the time frame could be an hour. All right, it should be relatively similar, but when we get into an example and we watch it in real life, you'll understand how volatile these changes can be, particularly as you get closer to expiration. So here's a chart of the Euro USD. There's the 1 spot 14. There's the prediction. Is it going to be greater than that? Yes or no? Now, if you're buying it and you thought yes, early in the day, all right, it's trading around 56. Notice how I'm using the midpoint between the bid-ask spread. There's a 56% chance that it will actually finish at 1 spot 14. In the end, what will this binary option be worth? Will it be worth 0 or 100? Now, it's currently trading for 56, and early in the day, it went down, and there's still a lot of time left in the day. Lots of time. So the price of the binary option only dropped to 44. Right? Now, skip ahead. Half the day goes by, and the price of the binary option, the price of the Euro USD is about the same, but the binary option has gone down. What happened between the 44 and now where we are at 36 is it decayed. What happened? Why did it decay? Because there's less time left. As if there's less time left, there's less of a chance for it to go higher and finish above 1 spot 14. Now, it does indeed go higher, and look how quickly that price went up to 74. All right, the price swings of a binary option will become much more pronounced, much more dramatic, much more volatile as we get closer to expiration, because there's less time for something else to happen. When this drops and the price drops, notice how the price of the binary option goes from 74 all the way down to 24. It moves quickly. And then in the end, if it stays at 1 spot 14 or below, it will go to 0. And it doesn't matter how low it goes, the bottom can fall out. The binary option can only go to 0. And if it were to happen to go above 1 spot 14, which it does in this case, it would end up going to 100. In the end, it's either 0, it did not come true, or 100, it did come true. And that's also the dollar amount. It either settles at $0 or it settles at $100. If you bought it and it goes to 100, you made money. If you bought it and went to 0, you lose money, and vice versa. If you were to sell it and it went to 0, you would get your most profit. You sold it and wanted it to go to 0 because you were predicting false. You were predicting no. And if it went to 100, you would lose because you said no, and it became true. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these next 2 slides. I am just going to show you that it can decay down towards 0, or it can decay up to 100, whether it's true or false. It's the exact same condition. Will it finish higher than 1 spot 14? There's the 1 spot 14 level. You can see the chart below. It never went above 1 spot 14. And you can see, this is what's interesting, is between these last 2 points, when it was at the midday, when it was 34, notice the price of the Euro USD went higher, but the binary option actually went lower. It went down to 20. Why did it go down while the price went up? Because it's still below 1 spot 14, and there's not much time for it to actually go above 1 spot 14 for it to be true. And not only that, all day long, it hasn't moved at all. So the market was saying the likelihood of it making that much of a move was low. Right? And then eventually it did actually go to 0. Now, on the flip side, what if it stayed above 1.14 the whole time? It would decay up to 100. All right, and notice how as the day goes along, even if the price of the binary option, of the price of the Euro USD goes down, the binary option is going to start working its way toward 100 because it's above 1.14. And in the end, as long as it's above 1.14, it goes to 100. And it doesn't matter if this thing spiked way higher, that it can't go any higher than 100. And if it drops down, it can't go any lower than 0. Defined risk, defined reward. Now, I mentioned you have a lot of choices at Nadex. Not only do you have a variety of products, all right, gold, oil, natural gas, foreign exchange, all the major currency pairs, equity indice markets, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, if you like trading technology stocks. There's going to be all these markets, and then there's going to be a variety of conditions. There's always going to be a variety of conditions, so you can choose the condition that suits your opinion. Will it be higher than? So for gold, we're going to give you a bunch of different choices: 1800, 1805, 1810, 1815. You can pick which strike condition level that suits you for your trade. And then not only are we going to offer you all of those conditions, we're also going to offer you a bunch of different expiration times. We have 5-minute binary options. We have 20-minute binary options, hourly, 2 hours, every 2 hours, daily, and weekly. So you can choose. Now, traders have different opinions. They have different timelines. If you wanted something a little bit slower and not as dramatic and price swings all over the place, you might choose a longer duration binary option. But if you want the action and the volatility and prices moving quickly, those short-term binary options might suit your appetite. I am going to show, and that is because, again, remember, as you approach expiration, the price swings will become incredibly more dramatic. And we are going to focus. I had some questions about those short-term binary options. We are going to focus on those short-term binary options. Now, before I jump over there, this is absolutely critical. So if I didn't have your attention before, I hope I've got your attention now. This is an important rule when trading binary options. Really important. In the end, they go to 0 or 100. But just because there's an expiration associated with the contract does not mean you have to wait until then to see what happens. That is so important that I'm going to say it again. Just because there's an expiration associated with the contract does not mean you need to wait until then to see what happens. You could choose, or you can choose, to exit the position early if you want. You can get out of your position. Something also very different from Nadex than other binary option providers. You get into a trade, you are not married to that position. You are not stuck with it. You can get out of it. All right. And why would you want to get out early? And there's 2 reasons why you would want to get out early. One, because you want to lock in a profit. All right. I bought a binary option. It had a 25% chance. I bought it at 25. It actually went to 60. It's now slightly in the money, but there's a lot of time left in the day. I could just sell it at 60 and collect $35 profit. Thank you very much. I'm out of here. I'm going to move on to my next trade. You could wait to try to get the rest, and maybe you do still think it's going to go to 100, then stay into it and go for the full 100. But you don't have to. I mean, a lot of traders will buy because they don't have a lot of money. They might buy a binary option for 25 and just look for it to potentially go to 50. They just want to see it go to even money. Now, if it goes to even, there's a 50% chance it goes to 100, and there's a 50% chance it's still going to go to 0. But if you bought it at 25 and it went to 50 and you sold it at 50, you just doubled your money. Thank you. Move on. And find another trade or wait and see what happens. Now, the other reason you would get out early is to limit losses. Let's say you bought a binary option for 40. You bought it at 40. You were looking for it to go to 100. You wanted to make 150% on your money. You wanted to risk 40 to get that full 60. And you were wrong. You bought it at 40 and it never went higher, or maybe it went up a little bit, but then as the day went on, it dropped down to 20. All right, now there's only a 20% chance that it will go up to 100. Now that's 1 in 5. It could happen, but you could look at the chart. Your opinion could change. You could say, listen, I risked 40. I was hoping for 60, but do I have to lose all 40 if I'm wrong? Can I say, you know what? I changed my mind. I don't like this. I'm going to sell it at 20. I'm going to cut my losses in half. I'm not going to lose all 40. I'm only going to lose 20, and I'll live to fight another day. And that's called managing your risk. So you can choose to exit a position early, to either lock in profits or limit losses, and that is very, very important. All right, before I jump over to the platform and start going through an example, I do want you to see it. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the platform. I think you'll like that. I think that really connects the dots and drives home what we've just discussed. But if you've got any questions for Nadex, please email customerservice@nadex.com. There was a bunch of questions that came in. I was trying to answer them as I go. I'm not sure. From the UK, I'm pretty certain there are no restrictions. You can trade binary options from the UK. In fact, we'll look up, we're going to jump over to the website. I'm going to play around a little bit on our website. If you give me a second here, I'm going to give me a new window. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. All right. You know what? I do want to take a quick peek. By the way, on our website, you can search and you can say, what countries here we go. What countries does Nadex accept applications from? There you have it. The UK is on here. If you're curious and you're around the globe, you can trade. If you can access Nadex markets, you can access any of our products. We actually have that right up there. All the countries where you can access Nadex markets and where we take applications from. Okay, so hopefully that answered your question. The other thing I did want to point out on our learning, our webinars, this is where you'll find the recordings of this session. If you'd like to review it, we are recording this, and you can see what we've got coming up, and you can register for. So I know somebody was asking earlier about call spreads and knockouts. I'm doing something at the end of the month on that, but we've also got in our archive, we've got plenty of other recorded content. Okay. Now let's get rid of that, because what I really want to do is get into our platform. And let me refresh this. Let's go through some examples of binary options. All right, and you know what? This is perfect because we got a minute left in that contract, so I can sort of tease some stuff up. All right, notice when we look at our platform, you should be looking at our platform now. In the upper left-hand corner, we've got binary options. I'm not talking about call spreads or knockouts. We've got indices. You can see all the global indices that we've got, and notice how there's different time frames, and we give you the expirations. This one's going to settle in 15 minutes, out in an hour and 15 minutes, several hours, weekly contracts. Inside each one of these, here's the S&P 500, we'll have different conditions. You get to pick the condition, and you can see the probabilities of what is more likely to happen and what's less likely to happen over here. And if you just click on any one of these, it'll populate the chart, and we're going to get into that. We definitely will get into that. We've got commodities, and notice how we do have shorter term duration contracts, 5 minutes and 20 minutes. Our 20 minutes are all in the equity indices. I'm in a demo environment, so, and we're going to talk about that too in a second. Someone asked about 5-minute binary options. I want to take you through an example, because this is how you will see how dramatic the prices can move. This is a 5-minute binary on the euro US dollar. I'm going to hide this. I'm going to, I want to see my strike prices, and I am going to zoom in. I am on a 1-minute chart. Okay, notice I'm on a 1-minute chart, and we're going to watch these probabilities move. All right, notice how right now up here, there's only a 6% chance that it's going to get above this level. All right, and there's a high likelihood that it'll stay above this level. And right now at the 1.1863, it's as it moves higher, look how quickly these change. Look how quickly these change, 50% chance. It just spiked into the 70s there for a second. Now, if I absolutely think it's going to go higher, oh, no, look at this. It's coming lower. Maybe I want to try to buy this. Maybe I think it's going to bounce. I still have 3 minutes. I'm going to put a bid in at 46. Oh, now it's going down. I want to put it in at 40. Place my order. No, oh, I filled already. Maybe I want to buy it. Wow, look how quick that was. I bought one at, we can look at my 24-hour history. I actually bought one at 40. Okay, great. And it's now, all right. I mean, look how, I mean, you saw how quickly that moves. Now, do I have to let this, I mean, do I have to, I'm hoping it'll go to 100, but do I have to wait and see? You can see how quickly it moves around. Maybe I would be happy just selling it at 60. I might sell it at 60. If it popped up to 60 again, I want to click 6, sell it. I would sell it at 60 and take a $20 profit. Now I'm trying to sell it at 60. I'm red, 60. I could place that order. Now, notice I've got an order to sell one at 60. Now, I don't know if it's going to pop up there, but if it did, I'd take it. I currently bought it at 40. It's kind of still hovering around here, and we can watch what happens. All right, we can watch. And right now, I mean, it's just kind of a slow part of the day on a Thursday at the end of summer. Well, it's starting to drop. All right, it's starting to drop, and as it goes down, I'm losing. Do I have to lose all of my money? You know, actually now it's bouncing back up. I mean, we're going to sit here and watch this. I'm not going to do anything crazy. I could, if I want to, I could simply just click close over here, and I could just close my position, and it'll just give me a market order to get out, and I would get out. And now it's going back down again. I'm going to go ahead and close it. I'm going to close that position. I got out. I'm going to go to my orders. I want to cancel that order because I don't want to. And I just got out. All right, I lost. It turned into a losing position. This isn't moving around very much. We still have a minute and 34 seconds, but it's not looking good. As this goes down, now it looks like it's just going to simply finish between these two, and this one will go to 100, and this one will go to 0. But notice as it drops, the price of this one's inch out. Now it's stopped. This is why people love these 5-minute binary options. The volatility, the price action can be pretty dramatic. It can be exciting. Notice, I mean, this one was not terribly exciting because not a lot happened in this particular, in this 5-minute window. We didn't really move much, but there was some trading opportunity in here, and now it's just sort of fading away. Now, I want to go through what I just did a little bit slower because these 5 minutes can move so quickly. Let's go up and take a look at, since we were talking about gold earlier, I'm going to go ahead and click on gold. I'm going to click on the daily. There's still 40 minutes to go here in gold. Well, you know what? Maybe we should do an equity index. Let's do that. Let's see what's going on in the, here's the Dow Jones. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones at the end of the day. What do we have here? Now, this is in 3 hours and 25 minutes. This is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the Wall Street 30. Now, I could tell which one is closest to being at the money, where there's the 50-50% probability. by just looking at the probabilities. I'm going to click on this and I can tell this is where the Dow. Now I don't need a 1 minute chart. Let's go ahead and move this to a 15-minute chart. And I'm going to open this chart up and we can see again. Now you don't have to look at all these strikes. Some people think it clutters up their chart. Let's move this down. And you can see what are the probabilities, and there are different strategies that people employ. Do I think it's going to finish higher than 35,464? If I think no, I could sell a binary option, and it shades it in red on where it would need to be for this to go. Now, if I'm selling it, now let's just take a look at what happens if I sell a binary option. If I wanted to sell this, say at 33, okay? If I sold it at 33, that's the most I can make. My risk would be it went to 67. So I lose, I went to 100 and I lose 67. Excuse me. If I sold it at 33 and it went to 0, my max ROI would be 44% return on my money. Because I'd be risking 67 to make 33. My probability of success, a little bit higher. All right, and it's ticking up a little bit, and people do different strategies. Let's just go ahead and drop an order in to sell one at 36. I want to say I'm going to sell one at 36. Notice how it updated my ROI and my probability of success. Actually, it keeps ticking higher. Let's just go ahead and place that order. I'm going to sell one at 36. Notice how there's my offer. I just traded it. All right, it just traded. Now, at the same time, I think it's definitely going to finish above here. I think it's going to finish below here, but I might want to buy this one. You can do multiple. I would buy this one at 76. If I were to buy this one at 76, that's the most I could lose, but I could potentially make $24. My calculation, if I replace this order, and in this scenario, if I actually buy this one at 76, I would want it to finish above this price level. So I would make my $24 on this one. I sold this one at 36. I'm hoping it finishes below here. And if it finishes below here, I would make 36 on this one. I would make 24. I could potentially make $60 if it finishes between these two strikes. My goal is I'd want to make $60 because I'm predicting it's going to finish between these two. So you see, it's kind of interesting how you can put these together like a puzzle. Now, what can't happen is I can't be wrong on both. If it goes higher than this, the one that I sold at 36 goes to 100. Oops. But the one I bought at 76 also goes to 100. So some of my losses here would be offset by my gains here. And if it were to drop down below, this one I bought for 76, if it were to go to 0, yeah, that's not good. I lost there, but the one I sold up here at 36 would also go to 0. So I can't lose on both of those trades. But it could certainly, and people trade the binary options, the probabilities, as they move around. And I have not bought this one yet. I still have that order in and it's moving away from me. Now, let's just go ahead and make this easy for a second. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that order. I'm going to delete it. But I do want to show you, I'm going to go to my positions tab. I'm going to click on this order. Now, I sold this at 36. I could potentially, if I wanted to buy it back at 16, all right, I put in 16, where I just want to make $20 on this. I just want to make $20. I sold it at 36. I'd buy it back at 16. I can place that order down below. Now, if I click on market depth, you'll actually see there's my bid down below. And hopefully I buy it there. Now, if I don't, I would monitor this. I would be watching my position. Let's go back to this is my order down below. And if I decide I'm wrong, all right, if I decide I'm wrong and I just want to buy it back and close, I could simply just close the position, cancel my other order, and take my lumps. I could just say I was wrong. It started going higher. And this is how people trade binary options. Notice that there's still 3 hours and 20 minutes left. The pace on this is going to be a little bit slower because there's so much time left. But I'm watching my charts. Now, I was not making a trade recommendation in any way, by the way. I want to remind everyone, I was just picking something out of the hat. When people do trade binary options, they're often using technical analysis. They're looking at their charts. They're looking at levels. They're making a determination on what they think might happen. and then make their predictions accordingly. But other than that, that is binary options. And if you really want that action, you want that short-term action, you do have those 20-minute binary options in the indices, and you've got those 5-minute binary options in FX, and it can be exciting. You get a lot of price action, you get a lot of movement, and there's, again, all in defined risk, defined reward. With that, I want to thank everyone for joining today. Again, this was recorded. It will be available on our website as well as our YouTube channel. And if you're not following us on our YouTube channel, I'd recommend you go to YouTube, look up Nadex, and subscribe to our YouTube channel every morning, 7:45 a.m. Central, 8:45 a.m. Eastern. We live stream. We do a live stream and we take a look at what happened overnight, what is happening during the day, where there might be some potential hotspots in the markets, and we get into the charts and we do a little bit of technical analysis. And if you can't make it live, the recordings are available immediately on our YouTube channel. So I would recommend, in fact, if I bring this back up, I can go to our YouTube channel quickly and show you what I am referring to. If I go to our videos and you can sort, I can go to upcoming live streams. Notice I've only got one in here for today, for tomorrow. This is tomorrow morning. This is tomorrow morning. You could set a reminder. Hey, remind me tomorrow morning, I want to come. But if you want to see what we did this morning, past live streams, and you can actually see we do this every morning, and you can follow along with everyone else. You know, we've got a few hundred people coming in, and sometimes when the markets are busier, we get more. When it's quiet like this, it could be fewer, but we live stream every morning, 15, 20 minutes, and we take a look at the markets and we look at some places where you might not necessarily be looking. Where are the hot spots? What's moving around? So I would recommend you take a look at our YouTube channel and subscribe. You can actually subscribe to the YouTube channel on the homepage. You know, I'm already subscribed, so it's not going to tell me. But there's a lot of resources available to you there. With that, I want to thank you for joining today. Thank you for the questions and the interaction. And I want to wish you all good luck in the markets.